Hi, it's Tracy from SarahDarkMagic.com here. I picked up today Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes at Toys and Things in Danvers, Mass. And I started to do a flip through and saw some art I really love, so I figured instead of doing it on my own and then having to record later, why not record it at the same time? So here we go. One thing I do know about these books is I have the standard cover, as you can see here. There is an alternative cover out there, but I've heard that there were some issues with manufacturing, and a bunch of them actually had to be sent back, so some people may have to wait a little longer to get that. I also want to point out, because I happened to see it on social media, Enrique Bertrand, new EDM, is listed right here too, and it's his first credit in a book, so he's quite happy, as am I. So to look through the table of contents, there's true to form with a lot of the 5th edition stuff. They wanted there to be a story to it, so this is why it's not just a bestiary, even though you see that there's a ton of monster stat blocks in here. And it looks like this book is going to go into the Blood War, and then some more information about elves, dwarves and Durgar, Gith and their endless war, halflings and gnomes, and then the bestiary. So one of the first things is about the Blood War. I honestly haven't been able to keep up with much of what's going on in the story realm. I have a 21-month-old, and as you can probably guess, the last few years have been quite a blur. But I love kind of the mixing in here of different elements, like something that's supposed to be like a handwriting font, or notes and things like that. It actually reminds me, I've been doing a lot of watching videos on art journaling, and it reminds me a lot of that, and scrapbooking. This is just awesome. I love her stance here, and her hair is great, and that she has an outfit and a little bit of attitude going on is pretty cool. I know I probably shouldn't just do a full flip through. Oh my! Hadn't seen this on my first look through. It's awesome, like the person taking off their mask. This is just great, and I love one of the things I've been noticing, I think, with the magic art, and I think it's also going on with the D&D art, is definitely either direct use of traditional media or an attempt to replicate it. I can't completely tell, but you can see that there's brush strokes in here. Whether it's an effect or the real brush strokes, I really like seeing that in there. Particularly, as some of you may know, I've been dabbling with art supplies over the past few years as well. I know a lot of folks are probably way more up on like who Mordenkainen is. I know there's been more than one book, but also some of like grads and stuff like that going on. And there's Cambions, which immediately make me think of Aaron Evans' books, The Brimstone Angels. This looks pretty cool. I've also seen in here a few landscapes, and I think I've noticed that in some of the books as well. And that, to me, that's always fun to see like what the world's supposed to look like in addition to just the characters. I'll try to go through these pretty quickly because I don't want to like steal away the book from folks. Again, another great landscape painting. I know they go into a fair bit with dark elves or drow in this book, and I saw this one earlier. And this is just such a great moody piece. The use of shadow and darker colors is great. And it's kind of funny to go from like this page where it's like this to an Eldrin of autumn with the bright oranges and reds and yellows, and then go to blues. I thought this one was pretty cool, but I'll be honest, my heart, this picture is like the first one I took a picture of. And again, very, I mean, these look like paint strokes here, and you can see it here too. Whether or not that's just a computer effect or whatnot, I'm not sure, but it's just something that I'm really enjoying right now. And the doggy is awesome. Another wonderful landscape. Excuse me. And this hall photo is pretty funny too. This one, the emotion was just great, like, particularly on this one's face. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So one of the things that's been interesting for me over the past few years is seeing how the art has changed. I used to feel like the art was the least important part of the book, and as you can tell, I'm not actually reading what's going on right now. I'm really just looking at the art. And one of the reasons I think for that change has been adding stuff like this. I'm not going to say that books before never had scenes with children or anything like that, and this is very feels a little bit out of the end of Lord of the Rings, but the fullness that they're depicting in terms of the world has really changed, and obviously having more female characters has helped a lot too for me. Again, not saying that there weren't female characters before or kids or anything like that, and I love this one with I think that's a ferret. But there's a recent, and this one as well, yeah. This is when I actually stopped and said, no, I probably should just be doing a video on this. So there was a recent Mary Sue article where they talked about some of the fact that women are actually leading a large part of the resurgence, or at least constitute a large part of the resurgence of D&D. And they pointed out the change from relying as much on miniatures made it easier to do things like Critical Role and stuff like that. But I think too, like, just the change in the art and showing a fuller world and showing where women are part of this world has been incredibly important in all of that. Oh, look at this. Like, just this is, like, awesome to me. Oh. And I do wonder if that was something that was missing before. I know when I would talk to folks about D&D, some of whom played, some of whom were interested but hadn't. A lot of times talking about the lack of diversity in female representation really was a sore spot for them, and something that even if they didn't play, they felt. So, just to take a step back here, chapter 6 is the start of the bestiary. You can see, so say a little less than half is world story, like solid with world story and information. Like here they have gnome tables for ideals, bonds, and flaws. They have different gnome gods. Now we're going into like the monster stat block part, where there is still story, but obviously not as quite as much compared to the statistics, to the stat blocks. So yeah, so it's been really cool and fun and interesting to not only see the difference, but in some small ways being part of the change that's been happening. Oh, this is pretty awesome, gnarly. And these Oh, yeah, because gnomes, right? Clockwork anything. Has been really wonderful. Actually, it reminds me that I got a bunch of dyes. I got a machine that lets me die cut paper. And I got a bunch of gears and stuff so I could start making D&D type cyberpunk stuff. Not cyberpunk, steampunk. Oh yeah. Now that is awesome. That is definitely leaning towards Minotaur. And I think it's actually pretty funny to have, I mean, like in a good way, a good choice to have a lot of elves and gnomes and, oh my god, the Shire, and then the demons. It's a great juxtaposition of things. Daros. These are they're dwarfkin. Oh, and the sketches. I wonder if these are from back near the beginning of 5e when they started sketching out everything. To have a world book. Oh, I love that one. More engines. Sorry for the coughing. I'm a little bit. We can't figure out if it's an allergies or if it's allergies or a cold. That is a blob of flesh. Amazing and awesome. Such a great throwback. That's some muscle. Oh, I love that too. Definitely darker here. Oh yeah, darker. Missing its eye. Oh wow. Sartan. Could have a whole landscape on it, which is pretty fun to think of in terms of your town suddenly moves, particularly if you're, you know, a small creature or something. Also makes me wonder the myths of we just live on the back of a giant sea turtle. Oh, that's cool. Very, I don't think it's quite Victorian, but yeah, later, definitely steampunk. Ooh. Howler, man. Enough to give you nightmares. Oh, Merit. Yeah, Sigil, City of Doors. Because I was gonna say, it reminds me a lot of Planescape there. Nagpa? Reminds me a little of the Dark Crystal there. That is fun. Goblins! so fun. That's what I love too about about art in general in D&D, but particularly with the more recent stuff. For me personally, just you can launch 1,000 campaigns. This is pretty awesome. Trying to figure out what this all is. Like, are they just reforming in the cauldron? Like, that's what it kind of looks like to me. Turtles! So anyways, that's it. And then there's creatures by environment, which are always great for being able to do quick random encounter tables, or to figure out what might someone encounter in like the grasslands or whatnot. And this is a stat blocks by creature type, which can also be useful in challenge rating. I think that's it. So thanks for watching me flip through a book. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to look into things for you. And have a great day.